Meet me. Welcome back, boys, to another squirrely video. And as usual, this is based on a viewer comment. So one of you guys on my accursed poll said, can you do a series of old ML5s and how they fare in the new meta? So we're just going to talk about every ML5 today. And I will give you my incredibly biased ratings. I'll grade them from F to S. I don't think anyone will get an F. They're ML5s after all. But before we start, full disclosure, I have not RTA'd. I'm still kind of burnt out from RTA. I will get back to it eventually. Don't worry, I haven't quit RTA or anything. I just need a little break. So I just want to be honest in my assessment that I have not play tested Straze or run into Straze, Closer Charles, or the buffed APOC Ravi in RTA. So I can't really speak too much to them accurately. So who knows? But I think everything else, my assessment should be reasonably accurate because I've played or played against them multiple times. So alright, let's just get right into it. Straze. I'm going to give him an A. Again, could be wrong, but even if he sucked at PvP, he's a monster in PvE. As far as I know, he can one-shot every single hunt in the game. And in PvP, I hear like the standard build is just fast one-shotting, and they build him just tanky enough to survive the typical ACID. Other than that, I'm guessing his role is just what we expected it to be, just one-shot the tank, and he can do that S2 to dispel, maybe decent against Maid. I don't know, but I'm going to give him an A. PvE performance alone would make him worth it, but he seems like he's pretty good in PvP right now as well. FCC, easy S. It's FCC. Opsig kind of, when she came out, put a little bit of hurt on her, but whatever. I mean, it's one counter. It's not a big deal. You can ban it. And yeah, FCC is still probably the best damage mitigation in the game. C. Armin started making his way back in end of last season. I hear he's pretty meta now. But FCC, still a monster. And Cleaver's like actually drafting this. RB, S, always going to be an S. He's a huge dick. He's just really good. Revive, Descending Blade in your mouth holes, Arbiter Vildred. Dark Corvus, it's a tough one. B-. So it's kind of a weird hero. Arena offense, he would theoretically be an S, except it's so slow. In terms of being able to tolerate it, it's an F. If you have to use Dark Corvus on arena offense, you're going to be miserable and want to kill yourself. So as good as he is, probably something no one will ever want to do. Guild Wars offense, easy S, very core, very easy wins. Basically, if you are confused by Guild Wars defense, you just Dark Corvus it. It's going to work 9 times out of 10, like S squared in Guild Wars offense. RTA, people tried playing with them in previous seasons, not so much last season, but it just doesn't work very well. He just gets killed. Unless they drafted like a super low damage team, in which case he might be a must ban, but in the damage meta, people aren't really doing that, so B-. I don't really know. Post-buff, I'm hearing some people say very positive things about APOC Ravi. Last season, pre-buff, I would have given her a D, because the problem with her was she was just like a different ML Ken as far as I was concerned. Pretty scary if you tunnel into her and get countered a lot, but realistically, what do? They ignore the crap out of her and just kill her last, and she doesn't really do that much damage, doesn't take that many turns, doesn't do much of anything. But now with her injury and the fact that she supposedly does a lot more damage, I'm hearing she's pretty good. So old rating D, new rating, who knows? Some people make her out to be like an A, but I haven't tested her yet. Bewitch Isseria. For a while was very meta, and people were actually like double picking her and Basar, but I gotta say near the end of last season, I didn't really see her that much. She kind of fell off. She kind of went like the way of Troublemaker, where everyone's like, oh, this hero's insane, and then everyone kind of just forgot about her. Good pocket pick, though. I think she's a B+. If Basar's off the board, I mean, you can't really argue with this, right? Unable to be buffed, but the thing is now we have Angel of Light Angelica. So if I had to choose between Angel of Light Angelica or Briar Witch, it's a no-brainer. You take Angel of Light Angelica, so it's almost like a stealth nerf to her. She needs something new to make her more competitive, and the immortality isn't it. Closet Charles or Revolver Ocelot? Really don't know. We'll just put a question mark for him. We all know what he's supposed to do. Well, there's two main ideas around him. Some people are building him as a super fast initiator, and then someone else gets a turn from the CR push, and then he gets pushed up because his S1 actually has extremely high damage, so he gets a double turn. The other way is to have him follow up on a single target initiator like an Acid, and then you could build him a little harder hitting, but he's a turn 2 unit. That way I like better because, people say build him super fast and make him go first. He's 113 base speed, guys. Like, if you're up against someone who's actually good with good gear, he's not going to go first unless you bring a bunch of imprints. I don't know where that idea came from, but maybe it's just at the lower tiers where you can bully people with like a 280 speed Closet Charles and expect to go first. But this hero is not going to outspeed Acids, Cerises, anyone like that at the top end. So, question mark, but my guess is like a C. Blood Moon Haste. A. I mean, he's a rock, paper, scissors hero, right? If you're going up against RB or Maid Chloe, having Blood Moon, he's like an auto win, he's like an S squared. Against everything else, he's still okay, but he's like a C, so maybe a B, B minus overall. So I'd say you put that together, he's an A. He's very good, true damage, very tanky, heals the team. Definitely a solid unit, but really, you don't draft him unless you're up against Revivers. ML Ken, post-buff. I don't think they fixed his core problem. Now, he did get buffed. Like, some people are going to argue with me on that and say he actually got nerfed because of the self-CR push thingy. It was a buff. The problem with the buff was that it made him much harder to gear, right? Because before, you just needed to slap immunity on. Now you need to run him on high effect resist because you can't run him on immunity. So it took away that option. But it is overall a buff. And people before the buff with good gear were running him F-Res anyway. The problem with him is what I just talked about with APOC Ravi. Typically, he just gets ignored and then killed at the end. And with even just like 1 or 2 stacks of Battle Frenzy, no matter how tanky you make your ML Ken, he just ends up getting one-shotted. And I remember I soloed multiple ML Kens with my LR Krau because he had no crit chance, and he would just turn cycle and slowly S1 him to death. It's kind of sad. So ML Ken's really only good if you draft him into like a bunch of AoE units or something like that, or as like a 5 pick if they have a draft that's very weak to it for some reason. What do we rate him? C plus, B minus. Guild Wars offense, he's still really good because you could just bait stuff into it, but RTA, I'd say C plus, B minus. S. Tagahel's Holder, permanent cloak, hits 2 targets with insane damage done. The whole package, S, has been S for a while. Remember when she got buffed when she didn't need it? I mean, she's real good. I mean, the thing is, against stuff with barriers, she's going to dumpster them. FCC, if you can get the carrot barrier to proc first, I mean, A overall. She's very strong, but you really need the defense, the defending or the opposing team to have barriers for her to truly shine. Otherwise, she's just an attack buffer, like, bring something else. But if they have a barrier, super strong unit. This is probably one of the worst ones. He's not as bad as some people would make him out to be. I mean, his nickname is Mediator Kawerik. I would give him a C minus. But the thing is, last season, I did lose to Mediator Kawerik, because if you build him right, super high F-res, but they still have offensive stats on him, he's actually very good in stall comps, guys. The problem is stall comps aren't really played anymore, but I had a few people stall comp me last season. Mediator Kawerik actually works very well there because he does a surprising amount of damage. Like, he was critting my squishies for like 9k while having 300 F-res and was very tanky. It's not as bad as you think, but I don't want to make you think that he's super good either. He's like a very niche unit, but in that very, very specific role, he's aight. Ryle is like the kind of hero I hate RNG heroes, but no one could say he's bad, right? We'll give him a B. He's still very scary. He's still the kind of hero who, if you get bad RNG, can solo your team. But more often than not, he just gets randomly hit by something and one-shotted. So definitely not a reliable hero by any stretch of the imagination. But he has his place, and against certain teams, he's a very scary thing that they'll very often ban. So very solid unit, but just unreliable. Not picked as much as she used to be, at least in my experience. I don't know about this specific season, but I like her a lot, but she's just very squishy, and she really needs to kill something in the first turn. And the thing is, she's not even reliable against Arby, because unless you're in Legend and you played the same guy over and over, and sometimes it's doubly confusing because some Legend players had two Arbys built, the typical Tomo can't one-shot a D-Gen RB. If they have Aureus, you definitely can't one-shot a decent D-Gen RB. So the main thing I used her for was just as initiating offensive bruiser to deal with like DN teams, where she can do some like you ban out the knight and just go hard into them. The thing is, if you do that a lot of times, she gets banned out, and she's not a safe like 3-4 pick because they'll counter you with speed. So I'll give her a B. I love her. She's one of my favorite units, but it's kind of limited the kind of situations you can bring her into. I hate her. Some of you guys might argue with me. I'm just going to give her. She might be the worst rated ML for me. D plus. She's very good. She solved the problem that she was meant to solve at the time, because I think the design ethos around her was, at the time she came out, Cerise Fairy Tale was everywhere. Cerise Fairy Tale X on Guild Wars, Cerise Fairy Tale XX on Arena Defense. She was tailor-made to deal with Cerise F10A. The problem with her is her kit's messed up, because a lot of time, like anything with an extra turn mechanic, they get around her by doing what? They trigger her stitching and then stun or silence her right after. But even beyond that, sometimes it's just awkward because she'll just get pushed up and there's another debuff coming right after her. So it's like, okay, I gotta cleanse now, but I'm gonna get debuffed again right after her. Or she'll just randomly cut up at the worst times. Just so unreliable as a cleanser. The only difference about her is the self-cleanse, but do you need a self-cleanse if you can just use someone with a 300, like with 300 effect resist? Like, why use this if you could just use DJB and he can't be debuffed anyway? So it's kind of like weird hero. D plus. I never use her. A minus. I love her. She's one of those heroes. Like, it's weird because I hate RNG heroes. This is an RNG hero, but I love her. She's the kind of hero that's going to pop off in 1v4 teams sometimes. Other times, just sit there being a moron, and you transmit her after because you can't deal with looking at her anymore. But the thing is, she's just very toxic. To seal in the right team, must ban unit. Like, if you have like T-Ser and RBFCC and they pick Archdemon, she's going to shut down your whole team. And she does a surprising amount of damage if she counters enough. So absolutely has to be on counter set, but when she pops off, she pops off. This lady hasn't. I call her the deer because when she walks in battle, she looks like a deer. But hey, I mean, Guild Wars still like S. RTA, she used to be S. Now she's probably a little less in the super offensive meta, but she's always going to be here. 2 full heals and cleanses basically with a revive. That's never going to go away. A. Arguably S. Ooh, maybe this is the worst one. I have her plus 15. Back in the day, she was the queen of cleave. She kind of just got outdated. Politis means the classic A-lot cleave isn't really that common anymore or viable. And that's where she really shined, right? Like back in the day, legend pushing arena basically meant who J Kisei'd the fastest and had the fastest A-lots. now her role's kind of weird. Some people run her very fast and try to just reset you, but she still needs a stripper in front of her then, so she's pretty garbage. She's pretty garbage as control and as damage. Like, she has no utility. Like, Pavel's better in every way, and he could be faster, he'll do more damage, he'll one-shot something more reliably. Unfortunately, our Jugs Kise, I don't think I can give her any higher than a D plus in her current state. You can still cleave with her, but such a limited amount of teams, and there's so many cleavers you could cleave with anything now. A minus, strong, was very popular last season. Obviously, you need a dark unit on the other team for her to really shine, but if they do, very scary unit. I just love her animation. It's just fun watching her drop a bat on someone's head. A plus, I love this unit. I'm a filthy Sage Ball spammer in RTA. The cutting just makes him bonkers. He has 1v4 potential with his S3, although that's unlikely, but he theoretically has 1v4 potential. And he's just a very toxic, annoying hero. I mainly drafted him as anti-cleave, and in that role, he was super, super strong. I don't know. I versed him a few times last season where I actually lost to him, and, if you get stunned, he's pretty scary, but honestly, I very rarely ran into him, and a lot of times I did. I was just like low-ranked players that I steamrolled, so I don't really know. I'll give him a C. It's pretty funny, but I don't think he's super top-tier viable. This hero used to be an S. Now I think I'll give him a B+. He was my most wanted ML for a long time, but it's kind of like a case of like the K-Ron. Like, nothing about A.Tywin changed. Just the meta changed. I think it happened around when Carrot came out, and A.Tywin couldn't really deal with Carrot well. Like, on paper, he owns Carrot, right? He dispels one of the burns, but in practice, he can't lock Carrot down, and Carrot just applies burns to everything. And I feel like around that time, people just started realizing A.Tywin's not that hard to deal with. Like, when you have heroes like Ravi and like self-cleansing things, like, there were just a lot of options to deal with him. But he is still pretty toxic. If you don't have a way to deal with him and he starts soul burn S3ing, you're dead. But I think near the end of last season, I very rarely started to see him. Nothing really changed about Lidica, but no one really uses her anymore. Even the people who cleave, it was all about Cerise, Pavel, Politis, Flan. Lidica just wasn't used. And I'm not a cleaver, so I don't know why, because on paper, I still think she's good. But apparently the actual professional cleavers out there disagree, because I gotta say, I never ran into her last season, and there were a decent number of people cleaving me, like Light and people like that. Never saw Lidica, so on that reason alone, I'm gonna give it a B, but that's a very wishy-washy rating, because I haven't versed her enough to know, but I'm assuming there's a reason they weren't using her, and offensively, I don't cleave, so I would have never used her. Ugh. This is, I think, either the first, or like my first two ML5s were ML Ken and Silverblade. I got her pre-buff, and she never left me, and in fact, she won't stop coming. I've pulled 5 of her, but she's not good anymore. She doesn't have her own strip, which means you always have to run her behind a stripper. 100% stun on paper is amazing, and it is amazing, but you get 15%ed. She can be pretty toxic on Abyssal Crown because she'll randomly solo your team by stunning everyone over and over, but she's just not reliable. She doesn't do a whole lot of damage if you build her super fast with high effectiveness, so on paper, she's pretty duddy except for a meme control team, so just not very good overall. S. God, I didn't have her last season. Made RTA so much harder because everyone else did. Just like a free win button. Basically a full cleanse early on. Revive, attack buff. And fits very well into the offensive meta. Gives you survivability, cleansing, attack buff. It's the whole package in one after her buffs. Easy S. C+. His job, full cleansing the team, he does it well. Self-effect resist imprint, if you have enough Basars, means he's a little bit easier to build with high ER than, obviously, heroes that don't have that. The problem with him is he cleanses, pushes up the team, and then he's a liability. Like, he even loses his damage reduction after that, which I don't even know why, because it's hard to build him tanky with 300 ER to begin with. Just let him have that the whole time. Like, it's not like he's dominating the meta or anything. But, yeah. He does his job, but he doesn't do much else very good, so that's DJ Basar. LR Krau, in the age of Golden Boys, he probably would have been an S. Now he's probably an A. In my heart, he's still an S. I love LR Krau. One of my better built units, one of my favorite units, one of my go-to picks in RTA. I love him. Like, the true damage, the immunity, and I don't know. I just like motorbiking people. So, definitely a great hero. The immunity and AoE normal damage means he's pretty good against evasion units as well. I use him against evasion units pretty often in Guild Wars. Solid unit. I thought this unit would be good, but in practice, she's not. I mean, I don't use her at all, and I don't think... I ran into her once last season, and she destroyed me. But it was all RNG. She full stunned my entire team 3 times in a row, and I lost. The thing is, when I tried using her on offense for her debuts and stuff, 15%. It was shocking the number of times that she either got resisted on the strip, resisted on the stun, this thing just never stunned anything, just was incredibly unreliable. And I think that's her main problem. I think they should have made her faster too. Considering what a liability she is in getting 15%ed, just make the damn thing 128 speed so that if you're going to eat RNG anyway, at least let her speed contest fast units easily. But you can't really even do that. Because who's going to put their best gear, their best speed gear on Solitaria? So, did I give her a rating? I don't even remember. We'll give her a new one now. I'm going to give her a C-. Like, when she works, she's pretty good. And against focus heroes, obviously she hard counters them pretty decently. But that's not enough situations to make a hero worth it. And that's every ML5 in the game. So let's do a quick recap. We're just going to not even talk about them. And we're just going to say good. What's a good rating? Great, good, okay, bad. So good, great, okay, don't know, good, don't know, good, okay, great, good/great, bad probably, okay, okay/good, bad, good, good/great, bad, good/great, don't really know, probably bad, good, I don't know. I thought she'd be good, but apparently no one uses her. Okay/good, mostly bad, great, okay, good, bad. And there you go. That's every ML5 in the game summarized. If you guys disagree with me, want to spit in my face, that's fine. I'm very furry. It'll wick right off. But those are my thoughts on every ML5 in the game. So if you have any disagreements, put them in the comment section below. Explain why. I won't take it personally. These are all just opinions. If I missed something, something that may have changed in the current meta, maybe Ravi is first pick now, who knows? Feel free to let everyone know so that my subscribers can see it and get educated. Thanks for watching. Till next time, boys. Peace out.